Good morning. It's Monday, April 8th. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not 9, 8. And as almost everyone knows on the planet, if not, welcome back to Earth from Saturn or wherever else you came from. This is the day of the eclipse, where the moon's shadow zooms across the United States. Actually, it starts right in Mexico. Mazatlan comes right up to Maine. Mazatlan to Maine. How about that? We actually were at Mazatlan, a beautiful place. We had somebody that owned a condominium there. And Jimmy, here's a card, business card. He hands me a business card. And we took a cruise ship, and one of the ports of call was at Mazatlan. So we actually took him up on his offer, which, go figure. And we visited this condominium. It was like built on the side of a cliff. And each condo, stepped up and had a magical patio. And we were, like eight or 9 stories up. So I don't remember looking back to see if there was someone behind us. But, there's lots of privacy. You'd have to bend way over to be able to see what's, I don't know. But the condo, the view was, this condo was big, open air, and decorated just the way. We'll take it. You just need about $3 million, $5 million. This was 20 years ago. I was schlepping cameras at Ritz Camera, would you believe? 7,000 employees. And I came in third, fourth, or fifth, somewhere in the top part of it. And won a trip with Mel and I, all expenses paid. And not only did they pay all expenses, but they gave me 500 hours in cash to go, enjoy yourself. So we grabbed another $1,000 in cash. And I guess you go on a cruise, you never know what you might need. Just some cocktails. You don't like to hand credit cards out to people you don't know. So, all right. So we can. We want to. Where's There's always something technology-wise that I'm a little behind in here. Oh, there it is. I don't understand what happened there, but we want to... There we go. How about this? Can I make this happen? There's something cockamamie with my... Oh, well, what are you going to do? Hold on a second, folks. I want to get the view. Was now connected. There we go. There we are. I want to make sure I have this kind of a view thing, because there we go. Now I'll pop that back. See if that'll work. There we go. Yeah, because I had some of the pictures, and I used the pictures to... This is Merrill and Jimmy. We're at, what do you call it? A festival in Delray. We had our hats on, sunglasses. She looks marvelous. I look like I'm the driver. That's okay, I can drive. So Yemen's Houthis claim missile attacks on British, Israel, and U.S. ships. Oh, that's marvelous. These guys are morons. They're looking to get in the news, apparently. Why else would you announce that? Now, these are print screens I've done using the Flipboard, Flipboard, the Flipboard app. And you get this app from the App Store. Where else would you get it? And when you download this app, it's free, if I remember correctly. And it asks you, what kind of news sources are you interested in? New York Times, Wall Street Journal, the Herald, the Miami Herald, the Sun, the Fort Lauderdale Sun Sentinel, the Boca News, NBC, ABC, CBS. You list all the different possible news sources that you're interested in. As if, you were ordering a newspaper. I'd like to have the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Barron's, and whatever else. And then you say, I'm interested in science, I'm interested in technology, I'm interested in politics, I'm interested in health and wellness, I'm interested in astrology. My mother used to read my horoscope every morning. She'd call me, literally every morning. Hi, Jimmy, how you doing? You're going to have a good day today, according to the stars. And then she'd read me, Pisces, March 20. I was actually born the first day of spring. Vernal equinox. I'm going to get into, there we go, the eclipse. All right, now let me tell all you folks about eclipses. The first thing to know is, don't look up. Regardless of what that movie says, don't look up. Now, if you, let's say before the eclipse, any normal 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you look up and you look at the sun, and you can't look at it for more than like 1/10 of a second because it's so bright. Your eyes get repelled by your autonomic system because it's so bright. It'll hurt your retina, and your autonomic system says, "Back off! Don't look at this. Don't look up." Now, let's say you're just walking around in your house, and someone, crap. I'm never ready what I'm going to do, arts and crafts. Come on, let's get this thing out of here. All right, so we're going to add. Yeah, we're going to add this. So if someone shines a bright light, you see this bright light that I'm jiggling around my side here. Yeah. What, and if it happens to flash in the face, what happens? You got this negative image that pops up. So it's like a dark spot in the middle of your vision because someone flashed, and if you blink your eyes, you'll see white and then you'll see dark, and then you see white and you'll see dark. A hole, you'll see a white hole and a dark hole, and a white hole, dark hole. Well, see, if you look up at the sun real fast and then you look back down and you close your eyes, you'll see that brightness and then the darkness, and the brightness and the dark spot. Well, the problem with an eclipse is that because you've seen images like this, is the moon is almost, it's like magical, isn't it? Like godlike, maybe. The moon, from the Earth, looking at the moon, that would be the ultimate, whatever. I feel like, what? That's the ultimate new moon. You can't see the moon. It's a new moon. It's the most new moon you could ever imagine. So on April 8th, guess what your calendar is going to say? New moon. And you'll see it at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, you don't see it, You're not supposed to see it. And the problem with looking at the moon is that the visible light, okay, 99.9% of the visible light is blocked by the moon, whose diameter is almost the exact diameter of the sun. So what is this ring of terror? What's all that about? Let's go back. That is an aurora of the ultraviolet light and the X-rays and other bad things. A little tiny bit of the white visible spectrum, if any. Now, since the moon is getting, the orbit of the moon, most people don't know this, is actually expanding from the Earth, so that it's going to be, in theory, more than 28 days for it to get all the way around the Earth. Now, this will take millions of years, and I probably won't be here. In spirit, maybe. So, if that's true, according to Einstein, he thinks it's true. He told me. Then the moon will cover up less of the sun and more of the potential visible light spectrum will eke around the diameter of the moon. But in its present state, it gets really, really, really dark, like 99.99% dark. So if you're in that lunar shadow, which travels, all the way up, comes up through Mexico and then through Texas and Dallas and, comes up through the whole middle of the country, and then, the shadow exits over Maine a little later in the afternoon. Starts around, 3 o'clock. 2:30, 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central Time. Anyway, so because it's covering up the white part of the spectrum, the visible light spectrum, you have the ability to look at it. Don't do it. I'm just saying, your body will not force you to pull away from it as it would if it was the full sun, because the visible light is blocked. But the infrared is not. The ultraviolet is not. And it'll burn your retina. And when you look away from it, you'll see that bright dark spot as you blink. And it won't go away. So you don't feel pain. You'll feel a different kind of reaction because you'll try to pull away. But when there's no visible light spectrum to force you to pull away because your autonomic instinctive system, like don't touch a hot stove, now that's learned. But this has been burned into our brains over millions of years, don't look at the Eclipse, because it'll what is known as leave a lasting impression. I mean, it could be a forever impression, and then you'll go to the eye doctor and say, I can't. You'll be myopic in the sense that you won't be able to see the middle of the image. You'll only be able to see like the perimeter. And if you turn your eyes to the perimeter, that darkness moves over. And that could be, it could last a week, 2 weeks, a month, or never go away, depending on how stupid you were and how much time you looked at the sun, even though you were told 1,000 times not to. So that's why people are so cautious. They hand out the glasses, and you can look through this real dark, slightly half-mirrored film, which blocks out the ultraviolet light. And if you just put them on your eyes and look around the room, everything's dark, because there's nothing bright enough to shine through the protective lens. But if you look up with your glasses on, you'll see the eclipse just like this. This is the best picture you could possibly get. Right here. I'm giving it to you. So why bother? I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff. It's my suggestion would be, enjoy look around you when it gets dark. You only got a couple minutes, so look at the shadows on the ground. You'll see that like that deep purple kind of a look, because it's the ultraviolet light that's in the purple. The purple, very high frequency part of the light spectrum. So that's a lot more interesting. Look at your friends. Since they're all looking up, you can see their Adam's apples. Anyway, a caution: don't abuse your camera either. Don't abuse your eyesight, and don't abuse your camera, because the imager on your camera is just as sensitive, if not more sensitive, than your retina. So don't take a picture of it with your iPhone. If you want pictures, just log into any network broadcast, and you'll get 1,000 different pictures. Because you'll have a whole bunch of, I mean, I have photographic equipment that can do this, but, I don't want, I'd rather leave the cameras in the super duper suitcases that I have. I've got a Canon R5, and it's got a 45 million pixel imager and all that. So, if you're going to take a picture with just take a regular camera, put the glasses, or if you have a sheet of this protective film, put that sheet of protective film in front of your lens before you attempt to take the picture with a camera, or put one of the eyeballs of the glasses, if you want to figure out how to take a picture of or a movie. That would be probably a lot more interesting than a still image, because there's so many people. My suggestion is put the glasses right close next to your, where the images are, the lenses are for your iPhone. Hold it steady. Push your fingers. Here's the lens. Put paper thing with the paper right there, and just jam your finger right on the back of it, so that way it stays steady. And then you go back up like this and look at the eclipse through your camera. The LCD panel on your camera. That might be a pretty nice way of watching the eclipse without having to look like CBS News. You take your glasses, jam it right down there with your finger, jam your finger right on there, and then you can turn your camera so that it faces and do a still, and then do movie pictures. Because then you'll hear the oohs and the ahs from all the people you're watching it with. And you don't want to turn that camera with your face straight up, because you don't want to look at the ultraviolet light. It is a killer for your eyes. It's also a killer for your imager in your camera. That's why you've jammed your finger on the back of the camera with that film there. And the reason why I said jam it with your finger is so that it holds it steady as you rotate your hand up, and you can look sideways. So as you got your finger like that, and you got the paper thing, you don't want to have your finger right close, because then it will angle up the film and distort the clarity of picture. So just come back and have the lens right smack in the middle there, right about where the nose bridge is, and that way you can peek up at your camera display, so you can make sure you have the the eclipse centered on your in your display, because that means it's and make sure you press the you can press the up volume button. So if you can press you hold one finger on there, and then you can, if you steady the camera with your other hand, you press the up volume button, and that'll turn on the video to record. You press the up volume button on the side of your camera again, and it will stop the recording. Record it for like 30, 40 seconds. More than that, and it's kind of like boring. It'd be better to take pictures of the landscape and wherever you're standing, and hold your camera up high and take a picture of the crowd that's watching with you. Those kinds of things. Because once you've seen it, for a few seconds while you're doing the video. I mean, that's one way of taking a peek at the eclipse. Now, I've not done this, and I would not recommend doing it. But in the middle of the eclipse, if you looked up for like 1/10 of 1 second, it probably wouldn't hurt you. But I wouldn't do it. It's not worth losing your sight, because when it's gone, there's no undoing it. It's pretty serious business. So there we go. I'm back with you. Which one? Yep. There we go. There's a full display of what we're looking at. So the eclipse is something NASA warns against taking eclipse photos with your smartphone. Aha! Jimmy and NASA agree. It's widely known. I've been teaching at FAU for 20 years, and I get 1,000 questions from students, which is good. Questions are good. And they're not silly questions, they're good questions. Anyway, if you're thinking about trying to capture a quick smartphone picture of the solar eclipse, you might want to reconsider. I just told you, right? While most people know they shouldn't look directly at the eclipse, as it turns out, our cell phone cameras shouldn't look directly at it either. I'm telling you, you might ruin your imager forever, or you might ruin your retina forever. Here's a view of the middle of the country. We have Marilyn's sister lives in Milwaukee, so she's not too far away from the effects of the, where the full shadow is, at 2:05 Eastern, Central, 3:05 Eastern. And, let's see. No, let's see. This is the map I already have without the typing on it. Solar eclipse maps shows the path of totality as the shadow moves across. So how come it moves across the nation like that? Why? What's going on with the moving? Well, because we can see in this, when I do the old expando reverse, the reverse pinch of this image. Oops. Excuse me. Oh, gosh. There we go, right there. Reverse pinch through the image, sorry. Yeah. Let's just take this off. I think my keyboard that's laying on my... There we go. There we go. I'm back. And we'll add that. And we'll add that. There we go. So we have both. So that's the Earth is revolving around its axis, right? And because the Earth is turning from east into the east, is turning into the sun, because the sun comes up in the east. That means the Earth and the country are revolving around its axis towards the east. And remember, the moon is revolving around the axis of the Earth in an elliptical orbit. So the combination of both those things happening, that's why the shadow is moving across the country. From west to east, because the moon is moving that way and the Earth is moving that way. So it's not a straight line, as you can see. If you put a ruler down there, you'd say, hey, it's not a straight line. Well, that's because the Earth is a curved surface, by the way. It's probably the biggest reason. And this map is flat. So in order to have this in high fidelity, because they flattened out the, because the United States would be, on the edge of a big balloon, let's say. And if you, if you push that down on a piece of paper, the edges would flatten out, get distorted as to the distance between certain things. Anyway, so that's why if you put a ruler down, it wouldn't be a straight line, because remember, we flattened out this map. But we know what the path is because we know point by point exactly where it'll be. So that's the precision of this photograph. And you see, we rotate it and we bring that up. You can see it's not a straight line. I'll try that again. Oops. just zoomed through a few pictures. Anyway, so it exits the United States when it gets up to Maine around 3:30. And see, over Pennsylvania it's 3:20. Over Ohio it's 3:15. The border of Ohio and Indiana 3:10. And when you get to the border between Illinois and Indiana, it's about 3:05. And so on, as it moves down through Missouri and so forth, which is all Central Time. So 2 p.m. Central Time, you can be watching but not looking. How about that? Don't watch for it. Don't look at it. Just be aware of it. How about that? Anyway, so that's my little solar eclipse. Here's another map, which you can see the outline. Let's double click that. There we go. And now it's a universal image. A singular image showing, you can see the outlines of the United States. You can see the curved path as it comes from Dallas, Texas, arching across the middle part of the country and exiting up here at Bangor, Maine, or whatever city in Maine. I went to college with a kid from Blaine, Maine. Very smart student, outstanding student. He really paid attention. I used to play chess with him. He was a worthy competitor in the chessboard. I enjoyed playing with him because, almost anyone else I could count on beating, so to speak, without trying to be a wise guy. But I knew how to play chess, and I knew how to think moves in advance. Maybe 3 or 4 moves in advance. Maybe a few more obvious moves in advance. But my schoolmate from Blaine, Maine was outstanding chess player. And I'm sure he was a good academician. I don't think we weren't in the same classes. But we were in the same dormitory, I think, and we ate at the same time of day, which was like 5 o'clock sharp. My buddies and I always used to show up in line. I mean, we were not first in line necessarily. We would have been 10th in line, but we'd be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There'd be 4 or 5 of us that would eat right away, because at least 4 of us, because we'd shoot pool from 5:30 to 6:30, and then from 6:30 to like 8, we'd retire to my room and play pinochle. And I'd take my door off its hinge, lay it down on top of 2 trash cans, and that was our card table. Oh my God. Yep, that was our card table. We didn't have a card table, so we made one. And we played pinochle on it, and I tell you what, we had to wear it out to finish on that card table, because we played a lot of pinochle. I mean, it was every day from 6:30 to 8. At 8 o'clock, I said, good night, folks. Carry on if you'd like, but I'm retiring to the classroom building with my arms full of books, whatever I needed, notepads. They didn't have iPads. I wish they did, but they didn't at that point. So I think I had a laptop. So I take my laptop, my yellow pad, a couple of things to write with, the books I needed, off to the classroom. I had to get out of the building. So the classroom building was dark. So one of the guards would I think his name is Waltz. Bill Waltz, maybe. And I would go to the classroom building. I don't know if we were in the same room. We might have been in separate rooms. We would sit at the teacher's desk up front. We'd take a room each, I think, pretty much. And that way we could study without any noises. Because in a dormitory, you can hear, it's almost like being in a, what you imagine, a jail. You hear all these noises and bangs and pots and pans and whatever, I had to get out of there. So I studied from 8 until midnight. So I was guaranteed 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, and by 11:59, by 12 o'clock, I was done. So every night, that's Sunday through Thursday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Sunday night, yep, because Monday's school time, classroom. So Sunday, including Thursday, all the way, every night I get 4 hours of study, uninterrupted study. So that's 20 hours of uninterrupted study a week. Plus any other times, you would do it in the middle of the day or whatever, and it would be semi-interrupted, because you don't want to be a total, nerd. You want to get, we get along with other people and play, pool together in the student union, and yuck it up with other people, you're waiting for your turn, So we played pool in the student union from 5:30 to 7, like I said, an hour and a half of billiards, pool, 8-ball, whatever, And it wasn't like heavy gambling or anything like that. We just played to see who could shoot better, so to speak. I don't remember us really putting cash on the table. I worked, I was a dormitory counselor kind of a guy. So I got, paid a few dollars for watching over the dormitory, make sure it didn't burn down. I didn't walk around, you weren't allowed to do anything in there. Smoke or, no wacky weed, no cigarette, no drinking, but, really, am I going to walk around and rap on the door and say, excuse me? No. I had the ability to do that with my trusty dusty badge, but I didn't do it. If you did walk around, they gave you a little pin you could put on your shirt, so in case people didn't know that everyone knew I was a dormitory guy, manager, proctor, whatever they call me. They paid $1 an hour or something. It was, nothing worth bragging about. Anyway, so here you see this map. You can see down, I calculated this using other methods, but you see right down here in the very tip of Florida, which is where I live, right, that line, that white line is probably going right through, like Vero Beach, if I had to guess. The O, where it says 40%, right there at the tip of the O would be Boca Raton. The line of 40% is crossing right over, Dade County. So, extrapolating on this map, it's going to be a 45%. So, roughly half of the moon will be covered. The sun will be covered by the moon, I should say. It's an eclipse. Yeah. I believe it's called a solar eclipse because the moon is blocking the solar. An eclipse, solar eclipse, is where the moon is blocking the sun. There are other kinds of eclipses where if the Earth gets in the way of the sun and the Earth's shadow is cast upon the moon, that would be a lunar eclipse as opposed to a solar eclipse, because we're eclipsing the light. And a solar eclipse is where the moon is blocking the solar. A lunar eclipse is where the Earth is blocking the sun and throwing a shadow on the moon. And where you got a moon that's all lit up, and all of a sudden the Earth gets in the way of the sun and casts a shadow on the moon. Instead of the moon being bright, it's not so bright. It has a reddish color. You've seen the images of that. So now looking at that is okay. And why is that okay? Because if the moon was completely exposed to the sun, like a full moon, and you look up at the moon, and you can look up at the moon. Why? Because the sun, 93 million miles away, is casting light on the moon. And then let's see if we can add this to it. There we go. Now we got both of us. So we're looking at the moon. The sun is 93 million miles away. And then the light reflects off the moon, full moon, back into our eye's face. And we can look at that because it's reflected light. It's not direct light from the sun. And we're seeing all the light, not just the invisible aurora around the edge, which is all the ultraviolet light and X-rays and so forth. Really, literally X-rays that come at us and exposes our retina to damaging light. And since there's no white light to force yourself to pull away from it, you'll look at it too long. If you looked at it, and it'll burn your retina. It will, and you'll have a blackout spot in the middle of your vision. Could be for your lifetime. I've read of stories where someone looked at it quickly, and they get that, like someone did a flashlight in your face. And after a few hours, the sensation went away, and you could see your complete image in front of you, because your blood vessels in your eye, kind of in a sense, resensitized your the cells that are sensitive and create color. The rods and the other image elements in your eye. Oh boy, rods and cones. There we go. Yeah, I didn't study enough for the eye. The eye is a very exciting organ, by the way. Being a photographer, all my life, carrying the best cameras that there are. I mean, literally. So when I say professional photographer, I'm almost like embarrassed a little bit, because does it really? Do I really? Professional. That means I know more about photography than anyone? No, not really. But I took millions of pictures. I took lots of pictures, all kinds of different venues. I've been in studios. I've been in operating rooms. I've had the privilege of taking pictures in a lot of places. Many people. I took pictures in the Supreme Court, but way in the Supreme Court, in the private rooms, which no one's allowed to do. But I got special permission. I had I had some help. My daughter worked in the front office with Clay Shaw. He was our House of representative, and he was there for like 18 years, something like that, at least 9 terms. I don't know if he did his 10th term or not, but I remember it was 18 years for sure. And my daughter organized a trip of business execs, and in the Boca Raton, Palm Beach, in his district, which was northern Broward County to central Palm Beach County. So like 40, 50 miles of the coastline. Would you believe? It was a strip all the way up and down the coast. Unbelievable. There wasn't much in the middle of the state. It was a swamp. So most people didn't want to have their territory stretching there. Anyway, so Robin organized this trip going to it wasn't all expenses paid, but they had Robin planned an outing. It might have been one day, it might have been 2 days. I think it was like one full day, my guess is. And the second day, you could stay in Washington if you wanted, but she arranged the hotel rooms, she arranged for the flights. You had to pay for all this yourself. There was no donation from the U.S. government or from the Clay Shaw's office or anybody. You had to whip out your whatever credit card you had and reserve the rooms and all that. But my daughter would arrange for the rooms, and then you could take those arrangements or make your own, whatever. And flights, same way. She'd arrange for the flights so that you had transportation there and got there in sufficient time, and pretty much you had to fly in the night before because you had a full day. Robin had a full day scheduled, from 9 a.m. right to, 6 p.m., maybe 7 p.m. Because I remember, in the evening before dinner, she had 2 different cocktail sessions at 2 different embassies. And one of them was the Canadian embassy, which was beautiful, well done embassy, and the ambassador would be there, and we meet them. It was a governmental official, visitation kind of thing, and Robin, arranged all this, and she'd be there, and she had walkie-talkies and cell phones. She was all buzzed in, and I think we also went to the Australian embassy, which I believe, I could ask Robin. She would remember better, because after all, I am crowding 80, so I can't remember everything necessarily. I do my best, because my head is crammed full of all kinds of useless information. Anyway, but she also, part of that trip, she had us in for a private, there were like 30 or 40 us, 35 of us that flew in for this, what she called a congressional fly-in, and she arranged this congressional fly-in, which was really quite spectacular, because, the other 35 people that were invited, you'd get to meet them because, you're in these lunch sessions and cocktail sessions, and, they were very exciting people in this Southeast Florida, territory of, friends and supporters of Congressman Clay Shaw, who was a very nice man, and they really loved Robin, my daughter, who was lucky enough to get a job there. They paid her, it wasn't volunteer or anything. It was a paid spot, and she did beautifully. Right across the doorway was Aaron, so you had 2 beautiful blondes like door casing the front door of Clay Shaw's. I mean, it was just, and Robin would wear red, white, and blue, and oh my God, with a flag silk scarf. I mean, she really knew how to dress up as the front door girl, lady, 25-year-old or whatever, 25, 6, 7, something like that, working in Clay Shaw's office. And it was a marvelous experience for her because she got to meet so many other, congressional players and their chiefs of staff, in the House and in the Senate, because just a normal, Wednesday, she'd go underneath the Rayburn building, which is, I think, where Clay Shaw's office was, the second floor of the Rayburn building. His window was the Capitol. I mean, you look in the window, and you had this huge Capitol right. I mean, it was like a pre-mill spot because he was, a 9-time re-elected congressman. Every 2 years they get reelected, and he kept on, getting shifted around to get the nicest office. Well, it was a pretty nice office. Oh my God. Anyway, so I was one of the very, very few people to take pictures inside the cavity of the Supreme Court building. And we actually, looked into the Supreme Court. I don't know if we actually went in there. I don't recall whether we actually walked in the chamber, walked through the chamber. I remember looking in the doorway, kind of a thing, for sure. But anyway, so I've taken a lot of pictures in a lot of different venues, from operating rooms to the Supreme Court. Whew! And they don't allow cameras. And I had the mega camera of the century, because this was early on in the mid-'80s of digital photography, and I was one of the few, maybe several hundred photographers that had the digital camera that I was carrying around. This sucker cost over $20,000 for a 35 millimeter camera. Yeah, that weighed 3 pounds. It was a Canon 1N film body with a Kodak imager in the back of it. So it was a joint venture between Kodak and Canon, and they created this $20,000 camera called the DCS Delta Charlie S like Sam, DCS 560, DCX 560 camera. It looked like a Canon. It looked like it actually had, because I saw the engineering drawings for the camera. It had a Canon 1N body and a Kodak imager, and it had on the bottom of it, like if you bought an extra with a battery pack, that's a battery grip for the Canon 1N. So it had what looked like the battery grip of a Canon 1N, the Canon camera, but no film. Instead of the film carrier and all that, they had an imager. And where the film canisters were, that was all electronics and stuff. And it had a battery that slid in the battery grip. There's a battery, that size and about, that thick, half-inch thick, 5 inches long, deep into the body of the camera, and it was a little on the wide side, about that wide. Whoops. And each battery costs, like $800. So you got to have 3 or 4 batteries, right? Well, that's another couple $1,000 just for stupid batteries. back then they were nickel cadmium batteries, which, the industry got away from right away because of what is known as the memory effect. Anyway, after about using that camera for 5 or 6 years, I'm not too sure of the number of years, but I sold it on eBay for, I think, $2,500. And I'll tell you what, I kissed the check when it showed up, because, those cameras like that were depreciating very fast. Not because there was anything wrong with the camera, it's because the technology was advancing so rapidly. I wanted to get rid of the camera before its value dropped to zero, because who needs at 6 million pixels? Are you kidding me? I've got a Canon camera right now, that EOS 5R, I guess. 5R mirrorless camera, 45 million pixels. Can you imagine? How many more? You don't need any more pixels than that. That a 50 million pixel imager was, last year on the back of a Hasselblad, which was ultra high resolution for landscape architecture. You'd see these pictures that'd be on the front of, Architecture magazine. Well, there are 40 million pixel images taken probably with a Hasselblad. Hasselblad's manual this, manual that, manual focus. You had to set the settings, the aperture and the time. You have to set that, by hand calculate, you have to figure it out. The Canon cameras with the 45 million pixel imager, you got all this beautiful automated, exposure control, and it can be center weighted. You can set the pixels, whatever you want to. I mean, it had unbelievable utility and flexibility on this Canon camera I have right now. It's the best on the planet. But you know what? The iPhone camera is now, is eclipsing and I am now developing, I wouldn't say for the first time, but I am a developer, not developing like developing film. I have this frame that have this expando thingy. Let's see, I get my hands out of the way of the camera lens. You see, I can just clamp my iPhone camera right in there, tighten up this screw and make sure it doesn't fall out. And instead of holding the camera, goofy woofy, I got two beautiful grips that are, 8 inches away, so 16 inches between my hands, and now you have unbelievable. Plus you have image stabilization in the camera system, so you can take. And I have this thing up here, which will hold a high quality boom microphone from Sennheiser, and I can take beautiful videos, still images. So I decided, pretty much to hang up that Canon situation. I'll probably have to, if I can find the original boxes for that. There couldn't be 1,000 exposures on that camera. Just enough to really test it out real good, which that's my selling point. You buy this camera, it's been fully tested. It's only got 1,000 exposures. Getting a little too old to carry a 6-pound camera. So I carry this thing. If someone hires me for something, I'll use this. And gives a little professional flair with using your iPhone. But the iPhone camera, there are people right now studying the iPhone camera with a 5x zoom with this double prism engineering that they have. So you get 5x, zoom, which is not digital zoom, it's optical zoom, with a lens and a prism arrangement. So the clarity is just unbelievable. I mean, how they can, but there are people that are studying that iPhone camera right now, because it's been out, October, November, December, January, people are getting the joke that this camera on this phone is equivalent to, these $7,000 or $8,000 camera lens setups from Canon or Nikon or whatever. It's, with these digital SLRs. It is competitive with the digital, and I read an article where they had pictures, the Canon camera and the iPhone camera, and they go back and forth, and they're zoom in to see the differences in the resolution and the fidelity of the colors and the 5 or 6 other aspects of the way in which someone would be critical of a photographic image. And the Canon camera is pretty damn good. I mean, people could not tell the difference. Camera people like myself, I'm a lot of things, but there's one thing I, have an incredible amount of experience compared to the average person, and that's taking pictures. And people tell me I'm not exactly average. I'm probably better than average. Anyway, I've taken a lot of pictures. And I have a website, www.4161100.com. And you can see, I can show you, because I have an icon right here. You see right here? I'm jiggling you see where that T is? Right next to the apple in the middle? Well, if you go right above the T, you see what looks like a little camera, a yellow camera with a red tripod. I designed that logo with an artist friend of mine back in the 70s. And that's been my logo. Quality Digital Imaging, 416-1100.com. I'm going to touch that icon right now, and it's going to go right to my site. And I'm going to go full screen. Can I click on here? No, I have to. I'm sorry. Producers? That's me. There we go. So now, I'm full screen now, and you can see. And if you look at the very top, what does it say? 416-1100.com. You can only have in a web address with a simple server, you can only have one dot, and that's right before the com. Anyway, you can see, there's my logo, Quality Digital Imaging, 416-1100.com. Health and wellness creates great images. It does. If you're healthy and you're well, wellness could be wealthy, but it helps to be wealthy, because then you'd get even more great images, because you'd be all over the place traveling. Oops, someone tried to call. All my screens go wacko here with a call. So, International Polo, I took, that's the Coca-Cola team. And this was a world-class event. And this was, like the the world-class polo matches. They fly the horses in, and lots of horses. Yeah, you got 20, 30, 40 horses. Because you ride a horse for 5 or 6 minutes, you got to turn in for another horse. Runs out of legs, so to speak. And these polo players have incredible. Look at the way he's holding on to his, everything that controls a horse, mouthpiece and so forth, the reins. And when those mallets click like that, it's a very, you can hear that all over, when you're watching these events. Excuse me. Ooh, there's a tooth sneezer. That's nature's sign to tell you need to blow your nose. Anyway, when it makes that click, it's rare to capture the photograph. And I was at the very end, near the goal, alongside the goal, sitting, on a crate or something or other. And he says, and this guy sitting next to me says, "Boy, I'd love to be able to capture that picture." And I actually had captured that picture. If I'd had the sense to show it to him right away, he would have peed in his pants. It's very unusual to capture that shot because I just was lucky. Let's put it that way. Luck is a four-letter word. Look at this. Remember Jay Leno? Who can forget Jay Leno? That's with Marilyn. My Marilyn. I don't know if he has a Marilyn. He was single on this. No, he was married, but his wife wasn't accompanying him on this visit to the Concours d'Elegance on 2020, 4 years ago. Well, I understand he just signed a deal with CBS for $1 billion. That's with a B. He just signed $1 billion contract. And it's the largest TV contract in the history of television. So he's going to have CBS logo sport coats. He's going to have CB everything in about 3 or 4 months, whenever this contract begins. Let's go back. Yeah. So when I touched the photo, it went right to that gallery. We don't want to do that. So there's Boys and Girls Club. It's a hangar party, and all the people in the background are setting up their displays, food and other displays for the benefit of Boys and Girls Clubs. And you have all these cars lined up. It's like every year for quite a number of years. And the airport, there's jets flying from all over the world to internationally for the Concours d'Elegance, because it was a parade of unbelievable car show on Sunday. This was a Friday night adventure, the airport hangar, and I caught Mr. Leno walking through, and I said, "Marilyn, come with me right away." And she's been my photographic study for ever since we were together. She's a marvelous sport. And I said, I see Jay Leno. Hurry up. So I'm gonna introduce you to Jay Leno, and then I'm gonna ask him to be so kind to let me take a picture. And that's what I did. It was really quick because he was trying to shoot across the middle of not too crowded a scenario, but you can see people in the background because he didn't want to get trapped, and have to run away from a bunch of people because he wouldn't want to upset them. It wasn't because he was a selfish person. He didn't want to disappoint them. So he said, "Please capture this quickly so I can exit the middle of this arena." I said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Leno. Just try to look happy." And that is what we got. Yep, that's the way he looks. Anyway, so if you touch that picture, you're going to end up with that gallery of images. And we're going now through, these are in threes, unique events, FAU events, FAU sporting events. I mean, when you click in there, there's a whole bunch of galleries and sub-galleries. There's probably 100,000 pictures in that FAU sports category. Look at this young lady. She's in the educational, the College of Education hired me to take pictures of their events over a couple of days. And it was educating. Look at that, they get a bowl of apples. How appropriate. And this girl just, redhead, sort of redhead kind of complexion. Beautiful young lady, in my humble opinion. There's another beautiful young lady. That's Marilyn. Yeah, we were at a cowboy. Look at her, she's the world's best looking cowboy. She's got feathers in her ears. She is an Indian all the way. She's got her beads. She's the best looking Indian I ever saw. There's a teepee. Nice young lady. I took at an event in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Look at this, Blake Shelton, when not too many people knew who Blake Shelton was. Look at this picture I took of him. I sent him a series of pictures. That I'm going to click on that one because I'm real proud of these images. This was 2007. You can count back the years. 2007. It's a number of years ago. And what do we have? There he is. Blake Shelton. Look at that one. I love that one. I mean, this is like, a CD-ROM cover. That's what I was, trying to say. Hey, how about a CD-ROM cover? Are you kidding me? Well, I want photo credit. You don't have to pay me a nickel. He's actively playing his guitar. He was, he worked. Look at this shot. I got the spotlights, that were illuminating his caricature, his body in the stage. Wireless microphone, apparently. You can see the Bluetooth lights, the batteries, and charged. They weren't blinking, which means better change the battery. There's another one, a little more energy, symbol in the background. I mean, I used my noodle when I was taking. This is a live concert, so these are not set up shots. Blake Shelton at the Indian Summer Festival. I'm just showing off. He's applauding. He's there. Look at that intensity while he's singing. I mean, it's hard to capture this. This is all, real time. These are not set up shots. He wouldn't say, okay, Jimmy, let's try this one. No, this is real. That's why I'm surprised. He probably gets a million emails. Indian Summer Festival, that's what it was. There he is. He's at the end of his performance. Truly appreciative of the crowd. He's holding up his guitar. His fingers are open, signaling, thank you very much for your applause. I try to arrange these pictures, in best, good, not so good. There you go again, in order, a little bit repetitive. Blake Shelton. There's another one where he has a different kind of facial thing with the spotlights above. He's playing a guitar, different strumming. He's picking. He's got the chords. He's got guitars in the back. He's got 3 or 4 guitars backing him up. So, all right, there we go. Indian Summer. Let's back out of this. Oh, not that way. I gotta hit this. There we go. The Boulay, that's quite a performance. I'll show you that another day. There we go. So that's stage performances. Civic and public events, you'll see a whole bunch of, St. Patrick's Day parades, and the capturing us capturing the event with still images and with video. I love to record, the video with the video camera, the Canon video camera. I do it with my iPhone array now. A lot easier to carry that than a 6-pound camera, and the quality is good enough. Here's lifestyle imaging. You see I got some cooking and recipes, architectural and lifestyle. There's soccer. I got 10,000 pictures of soccer right here. European tour, July 2002. That's a little more. That's 13 months from 9/11/01. Jeez. 9. Oh, God. Terrible. It was hard carrying camera equipment because you get all these lenses and wires. And I'm going between countries, and 9/11 happened, so the airport people were all up in arms, if you will, about who's carrying bombs in their suitcases. Every one of my lens looks like a bomb, but it's a lens. So here's NCAA championship events. This is the European tour. Youth soccer. Here's number 3 son, Daniel, chasing after a soccer ball. He would have been a damn good anything player. If I had it all over again, I think I'd have him trained to be a golfer, because he is quite a golfer. If he had professional training and did that as a lifestyle, he'd probably be in the PGA for sure. But he's 33 right now. He's too old to get in that. We had to clip him at 12, 13 years old, in my opinion. He was a damn good golfer at 12. He was very trainable. I taught him the little I know, have the arms as your triangle, let your grip be so loose that you almost lose your club in the swing. And that way you get the maximum club head speed. Look at this shot of a soccer. He's on top of the guy. He's coming right down up after that ball. He ain't interested in the guy in red. I was there taking that shot right at the goal. There's some travel photography. There's exotic plants, digital equipment. Look at that, EOS 1DS. That's what my DCS 560 looked like. Looked just like that, except where it says EOS 1N, it would say DCS 560. And I don't know what emblem would have been there, but that battery is the same kind of a battery compartment opening. Whoosh, slide big battery in there. That was what the DCS 560 looked like. It had Kodak somewhere, maybe down here, because it was a joint venture camera. And I'm sure they argued about, whether Kodak is up here or Canon is up there, I think they put Kodak down here because it was a Kodak imager, but the camera was a Canon camera. And all the lenses were Canon architecture to fit the Canon lenses. So it was a camera body. Anyway, I mentioned earlier about the DCX 560 for $20,000. Now the EOS 5N is about $4,000 with 45 million pixels. And the dynamic range is a whole lot wider, and the color and the software needed to resolve the picture and so forth was relatively primitive compared to today. You really had to work after the exposures to get the pictures to look as natural as they do now, right out of the shutter of almost any digital camera, including camera phones. Principles of Forensic Digital Photography. Henry C. Lee and James L. Wilson. I met with Dr. Lee in Phoenix, Arizona, and he agreed to co-author this book with me. The only thing left, I even created the cover of this handbook of is essential for police officers, crime scene technicians, forensic scientists, investigators, attorneys, and students who use digital evidence collection tools. How about that for, kind of run out of wind saying that, but it's on the cover. Forensic digital image development, post-image processing, digital security authentication. Those are all those are important terms for police departments and officials. Look at this. Digital authentication, uniform secure access. I created that logo with an eagle for the book and the software packages that would accompany this authoring. I know. Maybe I'll write this book. I met with Dr. Lee not long ago, and I said, "You still write the book with me if I wrote the book?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "All right, I'm still thinking about it." I wrote another book, for real. I can click on this enough to expando it. No, it won't do it on my website unless I download it. So here's another resume with the cover of that book, which I haven't written yet. Here's another resume with the cover of the book that I did write. Principles of Digital Photography, with that Coca-Cola glass. There's the cover of that book in square version. There's the cover of that book in the actual proper shape of the. This is the cover, and this is the back. Look at that, and I got a whole bunch of writing down there. The age of digital photography is upon us. And look at the keys, the master locks of governmental things. That was the key to my mailbox. Oh, God. It is the key to my front door. And this if I told you this, you'd be embarrassed. This police thing, that came off one of my kids' dolls, a police doll. And it had this little metal tag, no bigger than a quarter. So I said, "Hey, let me have one of those." So I took one of that, put it on my keychain, threw it on the table, and took various pictures of it with different lighting, and ended up with oh gosh, whoops. I ended up with that. So I'm waving my arms around like you can see me, but you can't. Anyway, this is the cover of the book. There's the back of the book. There's my engagement letter in Florida Atlantic University, October 5th, 2003. Your request for adjunct faculty status at the Department of Geography and Geology in the Charles E. Schmidt College of Science at Florida Atlantic University came to a vote during the department's September meeting. I'm pleased. Oh my God. I'm sorry to inform you. No, he's pleased to inform me that the department voted unanimously to instate you as adjunct faculty. Signed, John M. Harlan, Professor and Director for the Center of Geoinformation Science at Florida Atlantic University. someone I highly appreciate because he was very instructive for me on how to behave in the university environment as a faculty person, which, it wasn't like I was a wild boar that had to be trained. I was relatively sane academic. And there's Dr. Lee, my daughter, and there's Jimmy over there on the right side. Dr. Lee on the left. And Robin Wilson in the middle. That was taken, a few years ago. Authentication. Negative. That was an image. That was a background image. I developed the logo with the line and the authentication negative. Red. Authentication certified positive is green for go, red for stop. Just like in the police department. We have a red signal and we have a blue. Mr. Wilson, it was a red light. Do not enter the intersection. Stop. All right, a green light, we can go. Well, this would be, I wrote a software package. I didn't code it, but I wrote the development of the software package where these images would be used, superimposed in the background or up in the corner to show, probably in the corner, so that it wouldn't interfere with someone looking at a digital image. But if they got that image was not a certified image and means it could have been altered. If it's not authenticated, it could have been altered. If this image shows up, the image, every single pixel is exactly as it was captured. And this is pixel by pixel authentication. If you changed one pixel, it would come up negative. If it was pixel by pixel, because we did math on every pixel and put the remainder of a certain mathematical algorithm up, hashed into the header of the file, of the digital image itself, which you normally can't see unless you're a software person. Now here's, digital, this is like uniform secure access. This would be the logo that would be, associated with the book or the software package. To me, here's a letter that Dr. Harlan delivered to Mike Sewell, the legislative director for the Honorable E. Clay Shaw Jr. Congressman, United States House of Representatives, Washington, D.C. Mr. Sewell. And then he wrote a letter about Jimmy and FAU, and we got a plan going, and how about considering a earmark? Anyway, that was August 2002. So Harlan was, he was active trying to get me in the development. They had this incubator office buildings and suites that are hosted by FAU, and so you raise some money and it can pay some of the rent to be in these incubators. It was very subsidized, housing, so to speak, for people that are developing software and writing books and so forth. And I was teaching at digital photography at the university, and it was, then I wrote a book and got it published with Pearson Education, thanks to the introduction of John Harlan, by the way. And Pearson Education bought the book. He said at the meeting, the educational acquisition editor, I think was her title, visited at John Harlan's private office, and we met for about 45 minutes. I gave her a prototype of the book, which was really amazing. She said, "Is this the transcript?" I said, "It is. But instead of being all sloppy in a folder, I made you a prototype of the book. I want it exactly like this. The same paper, glossy, heavy-duty cardstock." Anyway, I'm going around and around with the pictures. Let's go back. See, I have some forensic digital images in this gallery. Here's some other imaging that I created in a laboratory. Yeah, a couple bullets on a ruler. Here's a Walther looking, taking pictures of handguns, the serial numbering, the chamber. Closer to the chamber, there's Walther. There's a fingerprint. Look at that, a big old fingerprint right there on the gun. This is, you can develop these pictures. Here's the rifling of this handgun, which is my own handgun. See the rifling? You can see that when the bullet gets forced through that chamber, it causes it to rapidly spin. There's a close-up even closer. There's a hammer. Hey, look at that dirty gun. Anyway, so that was just a few images. Back, use that back button. There we go. This was my business card at one point. Digital imaging, professional training programs. Yep, I taught there. 561-416-1100. I've had that number for a long time. 25 years, probably. And there's my FAU website, press release, May, HTML, whatever. I had a fax number. I don't have that number anymore. I have a different fax number. Here's another resume. There's Harlan Geoscience. Here's actually a press release right out of the Office of Communication of FAU. They issued this press release in my Andrew LaPlatte, the medical contest. That's a good name to remember. Boca Raton, Florida, FAU, February 2005. FAU is offering a professional training program in digital photography and post-image processing. The course begins on Wednesday, March 16, 7 to 9. The Social Science Room 318. I actually still have a key to Room 318. If they haven't changed the locks. They probably haven't. This course is both entry-level and intermediate-level classes. Is designed to improve the technical skills of still image users. Emphasis is to digitally enhance students' existing film-based skills towards modern, high-quality digital processes, equipment, methods, and techniques. Yes, sir. Instructor Jim Wilson, yours truly, is an adjunct faculty member who is known in South Florida for his proficiency in digital imaging. Oh, I certainly am. Who authored a laboratory manual, Principles of Digital Imaging and Post-Image Processing. I did. Pearson Education published it. Wilson has over 25 years of professional imaging experience, including coverage of several presidential inaugurations, true, engagements held at the United States Congress, and the United States Supreme Court. Remember I told you about that? I'm one of the few guys that actually had a camera in the Supreme Court. I can say that, and even today, they won't even let it in the news media, ABC, CBS, and NBC. He has been actively recording events and digital equipment for the the NCAA, and many FAU. Oops. I'm executing my my website is. Here's there we go. Here's the kids would fill this out. 1 hour for the class, which included the book, I think. Yeah, class fee includes the laboratory manual. Yep. Class cancellation is not permitted any time less than 21 days before class starts. Otherwise, a $40 processing fee will be assessed. And only $360 would be credited back to your credit card. So, you can't cancel without a penalty. It's not a big penalty, but it's, you're taking up basically a seat. So I'm whacking them for $40 for taking up the seat, because someone else might have been rejected because of this reservation. Essentially, it's like a reservation. Florida Atlantic University, please make checks payable to FAU. Now I switched that around and had it payable to me because it was so complicated dealing with the College of Education, College of Science, and FAU Treasury Department, and and then they mail you a check, 2 months later. So I said, you know what? I'm going to change it around. You want $100 a student, and I get the rest. Is that right? Yes. Well, I will collect all the money, and I'll issue a check with an enrollment list. If I got 20 kids, I'll send you $2,000. 20 times 100 is 2,000, and send you a list of the names of the people that are attending. And they said, okay, I prefer that. And I said, great. I'll hand you, so I made a deal with the head guy in the College of Science, the dean, sorry, trying to think of the right vocabulary words, the dean, of course. And I just handed him a check, I said, do you want cash or check? He said, check would be fine. So I handed the dean a check for, $1,500, $2,000, depending on how many students there were. And he said, that'll go, that's perfect. That'll go right in our department, and I can go buy a printer, I can buy equipment, I can save it up for maybe a trip if we go to Washington or someplace. I said, perfect. Whatever you want, here it is. And he said, it'll be for an FAU purpose. And I said, well, that's marvelous. You can give me credit if you want. Give me, say, credit by James Wilson, College of Science, FAU faculty. Anyway, let's get out of here. So, you can go right to that logo right there. You can create a logo on your own device. This is an iPad Pro. iPad is a marvelous piece of equipment, as are Mac. This whole, sorry, Mr. Fumbles here. This whole arrangement of all this stuff, this right here, this is my MacBook Air, 15-inch marvelous device. It's transmitting, this is a Simulcast. That means it is simultaneously broadcasting on 3 different social networks. And they're all right there with me for an hour and 40 minutes. Holy mackerel. I need to stop talking. I have people, I have 1,000 friends. Some I know and some I don't. Look at that. You see the clock over there in the background? It keeps clicking away. And my countdown thing here, or the count up thing, has both the count up and countdown has stopped after an hour because you've had enough time. Stop. Anyway, it's enjoyable to help people know about what I have done and things that are going on. Remember, Eclipse. Remember someone flashing a light in your face and in your eyes. You've got this this bright light just hit your face, and then you open eyes and you see like a dark spot as you blink your eyes in the middle of your image, your retina. That's what happens if you look at an eclipse. Don't do it. It's not worth the risk, because I can't tell you how fast you have to peek at it. Why bother? The eclipse is the eclipse. When it gets dark, that's when it's the most dangerous. When it gets dark, that's the most dangerous. So, don't do it. Stay. You can see 98. You can see the percentages. It looks like if you're, southern part of Milwaukee, you're right in that 90% coverage. And down here in Florida, we're about 50%. It goes right up through the whole middle of the country, through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio is right smack in the middle of it, northern part of Ohio. Columbus, Ohio, you're right between full coverage and beginning the 90% coverage band here. And then when it goes over, and same thing, Pennsylvania, New York, Rhode Island and all that, you're 90%, 80 to 90%. So you go up through Washington, D.C. So the effect, instead of trying to look up, is just look around, and you'll see when this happens is that it's like someone turned a dimmer down, but for as far as you can see. Whoops, sorry. I just whacked the microphone. It goes the entire range of what you can see. It's like someone did a dimmer, and if you're in the right in the it'll go right down to zero, because you can't see infrared, ultraviolet. So it's reflected light coming off, the people surrounding you and vegetation and buildings or whatever. So that reflected light is okay, except if you're in a city where the light is bouncing off an office building right at you, that would be too intense. It's very important, because ultraviolet light is not visible through your retina. It's not designed to see ultraviolet light. Your eye is designed to see the white part of our spectrum, the visible part. That's why they call it the visible part, because the ultraviolet is the invisible, and the infrared same way. The very low frequency light is not visible. That's why they call it invisible. It's really it's built right into our language. Yep, how about that? Done. Cancel. There we go. There it is. So, you've heard it 10,000 times. Do not attempt to look at that with your uncovered eyes. Even with sunglasses, because they're not designed to filter out ultraviolet light. They're designed to filter out the visible part of the light spectrum. Those crazy glasses that you see made out of paper cardboard, that film is designed to filter out the ultraviolet light, which is that's part of the spectrum that would burn your retina. So, and that goes for your camera too, remember. Your iPhone or any other kind of camera that you have, digital, I would say if you're film-based, it won't burn the film. You may not be able to expose it right, because your light meter may not be. You might have to do like a manual exposure setting and shoot some different exposure values. But if you have an iPhone and you have one of those paper eye protective gear, you put that over the lens with your thumb, right? right there, or this finger, and your thumb, and this is going to hold the camera, and that'll hold the paper thing on, and then you can aim it towards the sun, and then you can like look underneath to get it centered, and press the up volume button instead of trying to figure out how to poke that, because if you poke that, it'll shake the camera. But Apple was smart enough to go the up volume button when you're in the camera mode. Let's try it. I'm in my camera mode. In the photo mode. In the camera photo. And I'm holding the paper, and I'm going to take a picture. Did I capture a picture? Alright, let's see if I got a whole bunch of those pictures. Yep, there's one. It's a chandelier thing with a light bulb in it, which you can barely see because the screen's too bright. I turn the screen brightness down. Whoops! Come on, baby. I turn it all the way down because the image sensor is so sensitive. Look at that. I mean, I've got it turned, the iPhone screen brightness turned almost all the way down. And you can see that light. Let me turn it down even more. My gosh. That's about as low as I can possibly have it and know how to operate the camera. But you can see there, that's a picture that I took. Eventually it should show up here. Whoops. There it is. You can see it right there. Because the images move around all my devices simultaneously, which is quite nice. Look at that. That's a chandelier picture. And copy that. And I can put it in a text message to myself. You're watching me, aren't you? Yeah, there it is, with no background. It's the magic of the Apple image software that's all built into the camera. Look at that. Now I got an image with no background. It extracted the whole chandelier thing, which has a coiled light down the middle. Amazing. Oops, there's my oxygen tank. Sometimes, I run out of, my blood oxygen goes way down. So the doctors in the hospital said, you gotta have oxygen. Your blood oxygen's going down to the 88, too much lower, and you're gonna fall on your face. And other organs will start to die. I said, okay, yeah, let's have some oxygen. Why the hell not? I was trying to get oxygen to, taking the car in an airplane, and for some reason or other, it's not being approved because the doctor's prescription isn't detailed enough for the insurance company to accept it. So I have to, maybe I'll try to figure that out later today. My watch just tells me it's time to stand. Because I've been sitting on my tuchus here talking to you guys for, an hour and 50 minutes. Seems like these shows get longer and longer. But I started at 9 o'clock sharp. It's not easy. I was up at 5:30 this morning so I could do this at 9 o'clock. I'm thinking, and maybe you guys tell me, maybe I do 10 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock. That'll give me an extra hour. I get up at 5:30 every day, so it's not like I had to get up early to do this, because it happens. kid just sorry for the outburst. Telling the kid to stay focused. Look at that for be positive. It's a choice. You know what? Positive is a choice. You got a choice. You want to be positive? You want to be negative? You want to be boring? You want to be happy? Be happy. Be positive. It's a choice. Why be negative? Be cognitive about how you want to be, but your default position is to be positive. This is an article called, it's an app you can get. It's called 9 to 5 Mac. I was a Windows guy for 25 years. And then when my kids were about 13, they said, Dad, please don't buy another Windows computer. Can we have Macs instead? Swear to God. These kids were smart enough to know that Windows is a pain in the butt to do. And Macs are, I've never even heard of a virus in a Mac. Their software, you update all the time. And I'm sure their updates protect all of us from, issues with things that can attack a Mac. So I update the phones, I update the iPads. Whenever an update comes, I get it. Because I want to make sure the security part of the upgrade that they send over the, online. Same with my Tesla. We have a black Tesla, white interior. Absolutely love the white interior. Marilyn, who's had black on, black in, black for decades. She was black inside the car, black upholstery, black and black exterior. Beautiful. Black is beautiful in a car, I will say. For a non-color, black is a non-color. You get tired of red, you get tired of blue. Marilyn says, I think, we were almost going to get a red. She said, I think I'm going to get tired of red. Let's get black. I said, black is fine. I love black. Not a problem. So we have, but the white interior, because she was black on black in black, I didn't know if she'd like white interior. So we got white interior, and she said, you know what? I have to say, I really love the white interior. And I said, yeah, and it's also nice on your tuchus. Because when you have your car parked in the sun, the white interior won't fry your bottom. Because that's the one thing that gets really hot. The sun hits the seat, and oh my God, a white interior. Even though the lighting and, Tesla's designed it so that the ultraviolet and the infrared won't get in there and, heat up the inside. White interior is a beautiful, it's like a tuxedo. You got a black outside and a white inside. It's just like, she said it feels like a tuxedo. I said, marvelous. You deserve it. So we have a black on white. White interior is, they just look like spacesuit seats, And the seat design was assisted by the SpaceX space program. They spent millions designing a seat that would be comfortable to their astronauts for staying in a cockpit and for blast off. And that seat design came right into the car seating of their cars, because Elon Musk said, use SpaceX seats in all our Teslas. Why not? We've already engineered what's good for the average tuchus. And that's what you got to have in a car, and that's what he did. And since he is the big boy on campus for both companies, that's what happened. And that's, if you're wondering about the seating in Teslas, I mean, they have engineering. I mean, the car, I tell you what, the new car, it is so quiet. It is so, So it's luxury feeling. I tell you what, in 3 years, I mean, you look at the car, it looks exactly the same as it did 3 years ago. You know, exterior, visual appearance. I mean, it's a little softening here, you know, with the edges to enhance the coefficient of friction, you know. The wind coefficient, the lower the number, the better. I think these cars are like 0.24, which is more aerodynamically efficient than a Corvette. You look at that, it looks like a rocket ship, right? Car, so to speak. Looks super fast. The wind coefficient is terrible. It's like 0.36. The wind coefficient of the typical Model Y is like under, it's like 2.4, I think. The Model S is like 1.9 or something. Real low. But the Model Y has a little bigger bump for a little more storage capacity. So the wind coefficient is still under 3. I think it's 2.4 or 2.7 or something. I don't know what it actually is for the 2024 Model Y. With the serial number right around 250,000. Made in Austin, Texas. Yeah. The Indianapolis Zoo is preparing its animals for the 4 minutes of darkness because it doesn't want its gorillas and everything looking up into the sun either, because they become blind. They're probably smart enough to cover their faces, crawl in a hole. People are stupid. They'll take a look and then they'll lose their sight forever. Apple Watch Ultra 2, instant lifeline to runners trekking from Santa Monica to Las Vegas. Really? That's quite a jog. I have the Apple Watch Ultra 2 with a magnetic band, which is also a miracle. I got a real nice Apple band, this link bracelet in here. But the magnetic band, I just like it. It's light and you hardly even notice it's on your wrist. Anyway, I'm I'm not wearing anything on my ankles. I wonder if I could get that around my ankle to keep track of my. But it tracks my. No, that's not the way to do it. You just press on that, and then I can move this. Yeah, all the way. Oh, is that all the way over? That's heart rate. See right here? See, my blood oxygen is 90. Oh, you can see it. We go up. You see, 1059, it's 90. That's my blood oxygen. It's been high as 96 and as low as 87 until that annoying message just came in the way. And now I can go like this and go to the next big screen, which you can see. Now that says 81. It's been as low as 42 and a high as 127. Wow, this is today. So right now, my pulse is 81 because my mouth is moving rapidly. All right. But I'm going to switch it over to this screen. Yeah, we can show that to you. You see, my blood oxygen is 90, which I have an oxygen concentrator right there. And if I started breathing through that hose, or with that hose blowing at my face, this would go up to 96 or 98. Maybe I'll try that after this broadcast and watch my blood sugar go up. I don't think I can display anything on my Apple Watch to my iPro. I should be able to do that, but I don't see that possibility. I could do it on my phone, maybe. Here's my watch. So, I can see it. No, let's see, it shows it 98. That's not 98. So, I'll think about how I can broadcast my Apple Watch to my iPad. I'll ask that question across the internet. Is anyone connected their Apple Watch to their iPad? If you know how to do that, text me. Let me know. Oh, here's something fun. I can get it right on here. I can't believe I didn't show you this. We heard a lot of flopping around going on in our guest room, and I'm wondering what. So Mel and I go in to get, you hear all this noise, and then I go in there, and there's a bird from outside, a pigeon-looking kind of bird, and it's hanging on my handlebars on my bike, and the two cats are looking, are mesmerized by this bird, and a cat will attack a bird if it could. The bird was up and flopping around because it's afraid of getting taken over by the cat. God knows how long it was in there. I don't think it was too long. But, how to get in? And sometimes we open the doors. But it's long enough for a bird to fly in there. Well, a bird flew in the apartment somehow. So here's a picture of it. Look at this. It's alive. Watch. And when I go back to here, watch this. It blinks at you. It's a 1-second video. Blink. If you see it, if I post that on Facebook, it'll be blinking. It'll repeat. There's a still image of it. Look at that beautiful guy. Marilyn caught it with her hands, and we got some pictures of it. And there, so, when you take live view, whatever you call that, when you get a couple of seconds, and the bird just blinking. Anyway, we caught a picture, and then of course we let it go, and it said, "Thank you very much." There's a still image of this little beast. Flew right in our apartment. Anyway, we'll end our little show with that. Now that I've been on the air for 2 hours. It's my all-time record broadcast, and all 3 channels stayed with me, which is amazing. A Simulcast of Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitter Live. All broadcast at the same time. And, the first few words of this broadcast, you can just put that in the search. Welcome to Jim Wilson's live broadcast from downtown Boca Raton. You can just type or say that out into a search, and it'll come up with all the broadcasts we've done, and on Facebook, or I actually look at my broadcasts just to fine-tune myself and to try to eliminate some habits. I have a habit of tapping too much and moving around. It's distracting, according to what I've noticed. Look at that. See, the clock is going past 11 o'clock. But, you can tune in or tune out. You can always, go follow me and go to, let's say YouTube, and watch any part of the broadcast, all the broadcast, the middle of the broadcast. How tempting it is to look up this afternoon. Don't look up, even with your sunglasses on. The only kind of glasses that is going to filter out ultraviolet light is the film that you can buy in the form of these paper glasses, I don't even trust that, quite frankly, because something that you're going to pay, $2 for, $3, $5, are you really going to trust the eyesight for the rest of your life with a $5 piece of paper thing you put in front of your face with the supposed film? How do you know if it's the real film or counterfeit film? How do they certify that? Yeah, I mean, there's so many, you can let your mind go crazy. The best thing to do is what I said. If you want to experiment with something, even though it's supposed to be certified and all that certification could be a lie. It could have been made in China and they're all trying to make us blind. I'm being a little ridiculous, but do what I said with the camera. Take a video with your iPhone, but put that paper thing over the camera lens of your iPad or your camera. Best with your iPhone. Your thumb and your other fingers on the side, and you put the paper thing with the film over the three cameras, and use this finger to hold it, not too close because it'll make it bend up. Come back a little bit and hold it right at the nose bridge. And then you take the picture either with your thumb touching the button or hitting the camera button, which is the up or down should be. Let's try that one more time. And if I hit if you hit the volume up button when you're holding your thing, it should take the picture. This one in landscape mode it doesn't, but in portrait mode it does. Well, apparently it's only in portrait mode can you take a picture with the button. Or maybe your fingers have to be really off. Oh, it's either way. But if your fingers get a little bit on the face of the face of the screen, then it won't work. Yeah, portrait or landscape, but your fingers have to be right on the edge of the camera of the whole device. They can't be touching the screen at all. All right, that's good. I'm glad I experimented with that because I was curious. It should be, the up. It's the up or down volume button, I think. The volume up button for sure, but no fingers on the screen. And you don't have to be trying to jab that white button, because when you do that, it gives you a little camera shake. Now I know it has image stabilization, but use the volume button instead, because that's just a squeeze. And that can start your video or it can take the picture. And you press the volume button up or down again, it'll stop the video. And the same thing for videos. All right, that's the last. I'm just full of lessons, aren't I? Okay, frustrated FAU faculty member can't shut up. Now I'm an hour, 2 hours, and 2 hours, 8, 9, 10. Wow. All right, we're done. Say goodnight, Jimmy. We're going to give you Epidemic. That's our royalty-free music from Epidemic Sound. Epidemic Instrumental, I should say.